Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to be going over a real treat here in the swamp. We're going to be talking about a fresh fly named Highguard. Or maybe we should call it Flyguard. We'll see. This game has been getting ripped to pieces on social media for being derivative, generic, looking like every other live service shooter that's come out and failed over the last few years. But is it fair to do so? Is it fair to tear this game down before it even comes out? And it comes out next month. It'll be in our hands soon. So is it fair that this game is getting denigrated so much? Yes, I believe so. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just say it right now. Too long didn't watch. This game absolutely deserves every bit of criticism it's getting. In fact, I think it deserves even more, and I'm going to pile on right now. So if you were coming here thinking, oh, some positivity, someone's going to tell me that it's actually good and justify my emotions. No, sorry, I'm not the one. I'm going to tell you why it's bad and why you should not support it. It's bad on principle. It's not even just like, oh, it's generic, you shouldn't waste your time. It's no. This game is worse in ways that I haven't really seen many people actually touch on, beyond just like the surface level. Oh, it's Conquered 2. I mean, it's probably gonna be Conquered 2, but not for the same reasons Conquered failed. Conquered failed because it had an ugly art style with unappealing characters and no real innovation in the gameplay. Conquered played like hero shooter Destiny, right? It played like a more hero shooter oriented Destiny. They tried to make it unique with variants that you had to swap between on the different characters, but it just wasn't nearly enough. But the game itself played competently. It was just ugly and unappealing and didn't do enough to differentiate itself, especially with a $40 price tag. I think it was $40. That's really why it failed. It just failed to differentiate itself because its art style was very ugly, but it had art direction. Everything in Conquered looked like it belonged to the universe of Conquered. They actually went through a painstaking process of making sure that these characters, as ugly and unappealing as they were, fit within the aesthetic that they were going for. There was no mishmash there of different competing aesthetics and art styles. It was just an ugly ass game. Now we come to Highguard. So I'm going to watch the trailer here and I'm going to pause it and talk about the things that I see. And I'm going to point some things out to you. And I'm going to explain to you why this game isn't just a generic free-to-play shooter slop game, but this game is as close to outright plagiarizing other games as you can get while still remaining legally distinct. Okay? That's the real problem with Highguard. It's not that it's just a generic slop shooter. It's that it is so designed by committee and so obviously ripping off other games that came before it that it doesn't even look any like Conquered. At least looked like an original work, a really crappy one, but it was an original work. This doesn't even look like an original work. This looks like you copied someone else's homework and then changed the answers so you wouldn't get in trouble. It's just legally distinct enough not to get sued by Blizzard or EA or Activision or any of these other fucking companies. All right? That's it. It's crazy to me that they actually showed this, that Jeff actually tried to get people hype about this, because this is the antithesis of gaming, this game. Let's watch. Rated T for teen. Oh, we have mystical fantasy sci-fi vortex thing above a castle, and here's our character, which is just one of many characters you can choose from, with generic zoomer haircut and some kind of science fiction-ish armor and a shoulder cape, and we got an airship. And so like, let's just look at the art design here. What do we have going on? We have this thing on the back of his head. We have this giant popped collar and an undershirt that goes all the way up his neck, with a shoulder cape and generic looking sci-fi armor. And he runs off the cliff, and he summons a horse from Paladins. So it's like Paladins. Okay, we're riding. Oh, the enemy here. So notice it's mounted combat. Oh, whoa, mounted combat. I haven't seen that since Paladins. Okay, what do? Well, the enemies that they're fighting, just run at them in a straight line. Don't try to do anything. So these are not other players, or these are bots. I'm sorry. These are either not other players and are bots, or they are other players intentionally playing in inorganic ways, because nobody that you're playing against would actually do this. This doesn't look like actual gameplay of people actually playing in the game. It looks like they put some no AI bots that just walk forward and shoot, not even trying to hit you, so that way they could kill them in the trailer to be like, look at how good this gameplay is. Look at this. Isn't this a good game? Well, no, because you're not actually showing me how it would play with real people. This game comes out next month, so it's not like it's an early alpha and hasn't had play testing and and I'm sure that they have tons of footage of real players testing the game and playing against each other and what that actually looks like, but they're not showing that here at all. They haven't shown it at all since they showed the trailer. We have no idea how the game actually plays when real players are playing it, just how it, I guess, is supposed to play if you're playing against bots with minimal to no AI. Those red orbs you'll discover are like the souls of other people's, like, your enemies. So you kill them and they drop those orbs, and then you crack them for something. So let's look here. You have that's not like a boss on the map or anything. That is another player. That is another character the enemy team is playing as, some ice ogre thing. And then you'll see the other two characters. You have two female characters here, and they also look generic. They also look like, remember Fortnite? Well, he's all grown up now. You feel old yet? That's exactly what they look like. It's jarring. Why do they look like this? From the makers of Apex Legends and Titanfall. No. The director that also started the studio was a director for Apex Legends, and a few other people on the team worked on Apex Legends and Titanfall. When people say from the makers of Apex Legends and Titanfall, or you'll see this with other games, from the makers of StarCraft and StarCraft 2, from the makers of Diablo, from the makers of this, and it's a different studio and a different team with a handful of people that worked on those games, and they're trying to use the prestige and pedigree of the prior teams they worked on and games they worked on in order to market to you, that is a massive red flag, guys. That is always 100% of the time a massive red flag. It means absolutely nothing, because it's not the same team. Games are not made by a handful of people like this, okay? That's not what happened with Apex Legends and Titanfall. There wasn't like 5 people that made Titanfall and then they all went and left in order to make this game. That's not what goes down. You can't just take a few people out of the studio and then say, well, we worked on this, so the next thing we're going to make is going to be just as good. It's not going to be just as good. There's no reason to believe it'll be just as good, because games are made by entire teams of people coming together to make the sum greater. It's crazy that anyone would fall for this. It doesn't matter that some people in the studio worked on Apex Legends and Titanfall. That doesn't translate to anything. All that translates to do is marketing buzz and hype. It's an utterly meaningless thing, and it is never something you should take into account. And when people try to use it to market it to you, it's because they don't really have anything else to market to you on. They're trying to convince you to, hey, look at this generic slop game. Don't think too hard about it. It's going to be good because we worked on other games that were good. So clearly this one will be good, and you shouldn't think too critically about whether or not you should spend your time playing this. You should just play it. That's what's going on here. That's why they do this, and you should not fall for it. Okay, guys. We have destructible environments in the game, but not really. You see, because when he fires the rocket launcher, what is he firing it at? Is he firing it up here? Is he firing it over here at this thing, at these walls? No, he's firing it at the prefab building with very specific, this is a destructible panel. This panel is destructible here. Very similar to how Siege does destructible environments, but Siege's destructible environments have way more panels than this. And the levels are really built around them, so it's not quite the same. This is a problem with the game, the design of the game here, because why does this exist in the world? Why does this prefab building exist? And why does a prefab building like this have these obviously easily destructible walls in it? Art director, can you explain this to me? Can you explain to me why the people in this universe of Highguard would construct buildings with easily destroyable walls when they can also construct buildings with non-destroyable walls? It doesn't make sense. The art direction doesn't make sense. Why is it like this? It's not interesting. It's not cool. What would have been cool is if you could destroy any part of this building in order to make ingress. You can only destroy these very specific parts of the building that exist only for you to destroy. They exist in the world purely for you to destroy them. They don't exist actually as part of the world organically. If this was a real world, if we took a step back and went, okay, let's imagine the world of Highguard as a real world. Why would you have walls like this? And you wouldn't, because it's dumb. It doesn't make sense. It's just there to be there, to make you go, whoa, destructible environments, without actually thinking about the destructible environments and what they actually bring to the game and how they make sense in the game world and the game itself. So he rides in. And now here's the part. He jumps off, does an Apex Legends slide, ADS, kills this dude, and then uses like an Overwatch leap ability to claw this guy. So it's Apex Legends gunplay and movement with Paladin's horses and Overwatch hero powers. Just slapdash together. So if it's got like a kind of fantasy aesthetic, but everyone's using pseudo-realistic looking tactical weaponry with ADS gunplay. Why? If you can use magical powers in the world of Highguard, why would you ever use a basic gun? Why wouldn't you have magic guns? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what the art director was thinking here. It's like they went, well, people like Apex Legends, and Apex Legends has this kind of movement and ADS gunplay and a specific type of gunplay that's somewhat reminiscent of COD. Let's slap that in. Well, what do people like Overwatch? People in Overwatch like these flashy abilities. Okay, let's slap that in. And at no point did anybody think, well, in this new epic scale universe, their words, the developers' words, why would people do this? If you can use magic and powers like this, why would you use a regular assault rifle? Like Overwatch has these powers, right? But people aren't using regular everyday looking assault rifles. They're not using an ADS gunplay. You know, all the guns are like, oh, it's pulse pistols or some kind of like weird sci-fi kind of thing of its own. It's not just realistic weapons because people like realistic weapons and ADS gunplay, and people like Overwatch abilities. So why wouldn't they go together? Because they're inherently contradictory. Because they clash so much that it confuses people. How is this a new breed of shooter, you guys? What's new here? All I'm seeing is things other people did better that you slightly changed enough not to get sued and then slapped together. That's all I see. This guy, what did he just do? Hammer down. That's Reinhardt's ult. He just did Reinhardt's ult in order to break the wooden walls that only exist to be broken. So that he can come down here and this generic looking not player can walk in a straight line and shoot at the other actual player, get one tapped, and then he summons his lava thing. Okay, but we just saw his shotgun have incredible, like, this is the problem. People wouldn't actually play this way. So the shotgun one-tap that person from pretty good range, and then he uses his magical lava ability to kill the other guy instead of just at the same range. When in reality, everyone would just use the shotgun here because the time to kill is going to be faster than playing through this slow-ass animation. And then a teammate just walks forward and shoots. He just walks forward and shoots. The other guy walks straight out of cover and shoots because it's not real gameplay. It literally just exists to show you flashy things and make you think something happened. But nothing has happened here. Nobody would actually ever play the game like this. This isn't real gameplay. And then we have generic edgy lady who rips out the power orb. So clearly power orbs drop from other players. We're in some fantasy temple, fantasy village. This is what I'm talking about. This assault rifle right here. Like, look at this thing. This looks like it could be straight out of Apex Legends. It does. It looks like, or like Black Ops 7. This looks like a gun that could be out of Black Ops 7. But you're riding on like a horse or a bear or a goat or a cat or something in a fantasy world. And like, it doesn't make sense. It just all clashes. I don't understand what's going on. And what's the sword? Oh, you'll see what the sword does. Here comes a guy. I think this is a shotgun. I think I saw shotgun shells in there. So the shotgun can also be magazine fed, I guess. I don't know. Nobody plays games like this, and then comes around the corner, and here come the Valorant daggers and kills the people that are walking in a straight line. And then she grabs the sword, holds it up. What just happened there? Okay, here's what just happened there, because they don't really explain it for you, and you have to really think about it and look at the supplementary materials on their websites to get it. But basically, it is a control point. You fight over the sword, and then you get the sword, and then you run over here towards the enemy base, and you put the sword in the thing in order to summon the payload. And then you escort the payload into it. Notice how all these characters that are on the same team together generally kind of look similar and bleed together in terms of aesthetics. Like, these guys don't look visually distinct enough from one another for me to tell at a glance that they're completely different characters and what they can do. And then after you escort the payload, you go into the enemy base, and then you have to capture the base. So it's control point, payload, control point. So when they say it's a raid style shooter, they're making a term up. They're making a term up specifically so that you will become interested and think, what is this? A raid style shooter? I've never heard a raid style shooter before. Because it's not a real term, guys. It's what they're calling slapping together three different game modes from other games in sequence, which I'm pretty sure these other games have also already done before. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Overwatch, at least at one time, had control point, payload, control point maps, or TF2 did. And even if they didn't, making them in sequence isn't really innovative. It's not impressive. It's not interesting. So you're making people fight over a control point. That's the sword is the control point. I guess you can kill them and then take the sword. So it's actually more like neutral flag, maybe. So it's neutral flag into payload into control point. I guess, I don't know. The devs refuse to elaborate on social media about the game at all and explain themselves better, despite getting a 10-to-1 dislike to like ratio on every YouTube video and trailer that is about this game. So I don't know. The devs don't seem to want to discuss their ideas at all. They don't seem to want to elaborate their ideas. They only respond to people giving blind praise to a game they didn't even know existed 48 hours ago. It's not making sense, guys. The math ain't mathin' here. Then we have Ice Ogre Dude, and he jumps down. And so does the Ice Ogre Dude not use guns? Because I haven't seen him carrying a gun. I've just seen him run out and... What are we doing? What are we doing here? This is what I'm talking about. The rocket launcher locks on to the prefab destructible walls. Why? Within the logic of the game's universe, why would a rocket launcher that locks onto walls exist instead of enemies? Why? If you're jumping in the air right now with this rocket launcher, are you A, aiming at the walls, or B, aiming at the guy below you's feet to kill him? Obviously, you would shoot the enemy player to the left, not lock onto the walls to the right to show off that, yes, you can use a rocket launcher to destroy a bunch of prefabbed walls. And then he uses his ult, which are these lightning spears, I guess. So what was the purpose of destroying the walls with the rocket launcher? That's what I'm curious about. Because there's no one in there that he's attacking. Everyone's outside the building anyway. So it's just to show off that it exists. But why does it exist? This guy just destroyed all the prefab walls. And that's McCree / Cassidy from Overwatch. That's the exact same thing as Cassidy. He's just fanning the hammer. That's the exact same thing. He even somewhat look like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? What is this? What is this design? He's like some kind of fantasy barbarian dude that uses a revolver. What, is he gonna throw a flashbang grenade like Cassidy too? And then they destroy the thing. They destroy the base by, I guess, do they have to plant the bomb? Is it just a control point after they stand there long enough? We've seen this before. Not only have we seen this before, we've seen it done in multiple other games better and more coherently. This isn't even Conquered 2. This is legally distinct Overwatch. Highguard. Highguard is literally a synonym for Overwatch. That is how uncreative and borderline plagiaristic these developers are, is that they went, what should we call our free-to-play hero shooter? What if we changed over to high and watch to guard? Over and high mean the same thing in this context, and guard and watch also mean the same thing in this context. So they didn't even have the creativity to come up with a unique name for this game that they worked on for 5 years. The game just gives AI generated energy, and it's not AI generated. That's the craziest part. That is the craziest part. If I didn't know any better, I would be like, oh, this is a Gen AI game. Is this the first major Gen AI game? No, it's not. Real human beings made this and thought that it would appeal to a mass market. And they refuse to acknowledge anything else about it. I'm not saying the dev should go on X and be like, oh yeah, we know we're hitting the market at the worst possible time. And yeah, we know the art style is a bit confusing. I know, but like this, we gotta ship it. We can't change it now. Maybe we'll be able to update it if it gets enough players. And it's actually a really good game and gameplay. And here's some more gameplay. Like one would think with all the bad publicity they're getting, they would want to do more of a media blitz to be like, no, this game's actually gonna be really good. Here's all these things that make it really good and why it's really good, instead of just going radio silent and only responding to people that are blindly praising it. It's baffling to me. No, you should not support this game. You should not support a game that is borderline plagiaristic more than you should have not supported Conquered for being generic slop. Okay? This goes beyond Conquered slop into, dude, you literally just poorly copied someone else's work, changed it just enough not to get sued, and refused to elaborate on it. This type of game is the problem with the games industry. More than Conquered, more than any of the other failed live service games that have come out. This game right here is the epitome of the problems with the game industry. It is focus tested, game designed by committee bullshit. I am just, the game is offensive. The game is just straight up offensive to all the people that make video games, that are creative, that worked hard to come up with these concepts and ideas, just for these assholes to come in and completely ape everything and change it just enough not to get sued. Just enough not to get in any legal trouble. Not enough to actually sell, not enough for it to actually be good, but just enough to trick a few people into spending money on microtransactions when it comes out next month. Don't play this game. Don't waste your bandwidth downloading it. Don't waste your precious gaming hours playing it. It's not going to work out. It's not going to succeed. It's going to be dead, end of service, within a year. It might even die within 2 weeks like Conquered did. I wouldn't be surprised. It is free to play, so at least people aren't going to be spending $40 on a game that'll be dead in 2 weeks. So that might actually extend it longer. It might actually live longer than Conquered, only because it's free to play. But you have to really look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why you like video games and what you are into gaming for. If you're seeing this trailer and going, wow, I can't wait to try that. Like you got to ask yourself some questions, man. Or are you just so new to gaming that you don't get it? You don't understand like how awfully derivative this is, how close to plagiarism this is. Like they knew what they were doing with Highguard. They're trying to make you think of Overwatch, and people are thinking of Overwatch, but not in the way that they wanted, in the exact opposite, because people are pointing out, you kind of just made a synonym for Overwatch and then tried to claim that this was the new pinnacle of FPS games. It's really embarrassing. If I had worked on this, I would be embarrassed. Honestly, Conquered at least had people trying to be creative, and people just didn't like the art that they made. This isn't even remotely creative. There's no creative pursuit at all here. It's just gross. This game is disgusting, man. How could Jeff put this up on stage as the finale and try to hype it up as someone that allegedly cares about the industry? Nobody should support this. Nobody should support developers that just rip off other people's concepts, changing them just enough not to get sued. How are you going to sit there as a developer and talk about AI ruining copyright and AI stealing people's works and all this other stuff, and then turn around and clap for real flesh and blood humans that made something that looks Gen AI? Like, that's incredible. It's incredible that human beings were actually able to replicate AI slop without even doing it on purpose, that they genuinely just made AI slop themselves. You could have plugged this into AI and probably come up with a more unique looking aesthetic and art style. And you probably could have gotten a more coherent art direction if you consulted ChatGPT about it. That's the crazy part. I'm not even a big AI stan. This shit's crazy, man. Don't play this game. Don't waste your hard drive space. Don't waste your hours. That's the most important part. Do not waste time. Time is limited. You can't get it back, and this ain't it. Plagiarism, down in the swamp. Drown this in the swamp. Never let it come back up above the lily pads.